this graph.
Look at this photo. Okay, go ahead whenever you are, Leander.
Oh, I'm doing the intro?
Who? What? Who?
You do the intro.
Me? Okay. You guys gotta promise not to laugh.
So you can mute us, and then Leander and I can talk shit.
Yeah, I don't have to deal with it. Okay. You don't have to deal with the Max slander will not be tolerated on this podcast. This is the Apex Bros Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Apex Bros Podcast. I'm your host today, Max Molina, with my co-hosts Leander Taro and Rob Dillon. Finally, we're returning back to racing this weekend with NASCAR heading to Richmond with the Truck Series and NASCAR Cup Series. Before we move forward, I want to give a big thank you to Victory Fuel for sponsoring this podcast. Make sure to use Apex 10 at checkout whenever you're shopping for energy drink supplies. For a 10% discount. That is APEX10. So, moving on with the podcast, we're going to start off with our predictions. Should we start off with the predictions? That's what it says on the notes instead of being at the last. But we're going to be talking about NASCAR and INDYCAR today. No F1 news because it's kind of just their summer break. They don't really do anything crazy. But we're starting off INDYCAR with some pretty interesting news, some rumors here and there, and just some testing news as well. And then we got a ton of news from the NASCAR side. So definitely going to be a NASCAR heavy episode today. But without further ado, let's get right into the news. We're going to use that as
For
the
that's what you should have as
thing.
as the bleep. No. You should no. Use the Mike the Neil deGrasse Tyson thing.
Yeah, I'll use that one. All right, starting off the IndyCar portion of this podcast, we're going to be starting off with some breaking news that came out earlier today. Agustin Canapino is being dropped from Juncos Hollinger Racing effective immediately. So he will not be seeing the end of this season with that team. So now the question arises with that situation is, who's going to replace him? What I believe will happen is, I think Connor Daly will most likely finish out the season because he's a really good driver, a really consistent driver for the short ovals. And the last 4 out of the last 5 races in this season are on ovals, excluding the outlier, which is Portland. So I feel like that Connor Daly could be the top candidate for the Juncos Hollinger ride for the rest of the season. However, I've heard rumors that other contenders could be like Yuri Vips getting some early seat time for a potential ride next season. We don't know what team it's going to take him next year, but he could at least get some seat time in IndyCar for the rest of the season to kind of get more acclimated with ovals and just do one road course race and stuff. But I want to ask some of you guys, what do you think is going to happen with that second Juncos Hollinger Racing seat?
I must say, I guess we can't send death threats to Canapino's IndyCar career now.
Yeah, finally.
Juncos has the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever and hire Teo Porcher or Callum Ilott to finish out the season. But logically, Connor Daly, ovals, he's your best candidate, unless you had like someone from Indy Next. But I don't think most of those guys are ready for it yet. Maybe you get Miles Rowe. He's still a rookie in his first year and Next. So, yeah, I mean, I'm fine with Connor Daly. If you want someone to bring it home, he should be the one.
I forgot to mention as well that he was actually in that car, I think, last week testing. Canapino's ride. And they tried their best to try and make it seem like it wasn't Connor Daly testing it, but still word got out that it was him because, it's night and day difference between Connor Daly and Agustin Canapino. It's like, they're not even anywhere similar.
Yeah. And the rumor was that he got booted. The tipping point was he did not show any remorse for the Iowa crash on lap 1, and he did not help the team in any way, and he was just not what a good driver would be.
Not a good team driver.
Yeah. So yeah, unfortunate maybe for him, but not really. Based on
Not
his
for the rest of
actions for the
us.
past like 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, good experiment. We got some Argentinian fans. I know plenty of Argentinians who are not toxic, and also hate Canapino. So that was a good side of Twitter to go to this weekend. They were
It
in rejoice.
it seems to
But
me that IndyCar and NASCAR kind of have some commonalities with each other, with two of their most, I don't want to say toxic, but most chaotic, inducing drivers getting kicked out of their rides is Augustine Canapino and Corey LaJoy.
yeah, and but
So in a sense, Canapino is the Corey LaJoy of IndyCar right now.
yeah, oh god, you're gonna get hate for that. Watch out for the death threats on Twitter.
Hey, come at me. I'm ready for all the heat.
You're gonna get Corey LaJoy into the Pocono wall
Oh.
on the highway. Yeah.
But
And
moving
speaking of
on,
Twitter,
yeah.
speaking of Twitter,
Speaking of which, Connor
yeah.
Daly goes on Twitter and defends himself for some negative comments. I don't know the whole story, but I saw his tweet. I'm gonna try and find it real quick, but Leander, fill him in on what the whole issue is.
So essentially, people on Twitter were being people on Twitter, giving their opinions out, saying, "Oh, if Connor Daly does get this ride, what has he done to deserve it?" And all that, yada yada. Brought up stats from the Ed Carpenter days, and although they had some points, they weren't taking into account the equipment he was in. But then again, VK has one in the same equipment that he had, so it was kind of a slippery slope. But I didn't see any blatant disrespect from anyone that he replied to, at least. I think it might just be a culmination of multiple tweets that he saw, and then he just replied to some. But yeah, he has a right to defend himself, as he said in one tweet that I know, Max, you showed me. He has a right to defend himself. That's fine. A lot of athletes do it, regardless if it's on burner or their actual account. But I mean, I didn't really see anything to provoke that type of reaction. Usually, I mean, shit, we see drivers get death threats and they just brush it off and put out a statement on it, and that's that. So,
Just
um,
different drivers and different athletes are able to just block that element out.
yeah, and I feel there's like a stark difference between European drivers and American drivers.
Oh yeah. I
Because
mean,
we've seen Pourchaire go through worse, and his response was quite
yeah,
like classy, and then Connor Daly's the working class guy, so he
yeah.
comes at you
He's not
with
gonna
the
take anyone's,
anyone's
BS.
shit. Yeah,
Yeah. So just to directly quote from Connor Daly's tweet, to be to for context, it says, "I'm thankful we live in a free world where we can express opinions. Dot dot dot. But if people all day can show up in our mentions, throwing all kinds of insults at us, our careers, whatever they want, why are we, who are also human, supposed to just accept it and read it? Why are we not allowed to respond?" So I feel like that's a very
generalized
yeah,
statement.
very. I want to say appropriate response because I mean, he's putting the reality behind the whole um situation. It's like
Drivers get shit talked on
yeah,
Twitter, social media, and
and
yeah,
there are people too. Like they have feelings and stuff like that. And like I said just a moment ago, other athletes are able to compartmentalize that better than others, and there's no wrong behind that. That's what makes every driver and every athlete different from one another. It's just when it gets blown up like all the wrong reasons because it's just it I don't know. Social media likes to put a lot of twists on things nowadays. It's not really fair to really anyone who wants to voice their opinions. But yeah. So,
yeah, and there was a funny thing that happened. So someone said, "This is not funny. Fans should be allowed to tweet opinions without worrying that a driver will confront them," which to some point, I guess that's true. And then Connor Daly posted this thing of laughing emoji, list of people who care about what you think, and then put a notes screenshot with nothing on it. Um, but yeah, it's definitely been interesting. I mean, I don't know. I grew up with little to no social media stuff. Like we know back in the day, like '06 through what
Everything,
2012, before the
everything.
Brad tweet.
Yeah, everything was
Before the
always,
Brad tweet.
everything was always like on the newspaper or like on shows that you'd watch, because pre-social media, that's the only way you can get news in a timely manner. And now that we have social media, you can literally get the news in an instant as soon as it like starts becoming a rumor and circling around the community. You already like have an idea what's going to happen before it does happen.
Yeah, and what was interesting was this Twitter user said, once again, I do not think it's cool for professional drivers with followings to quote unquote dunk on random fans who are just expressing opinions, especially when they aren't tagging. Fans should be allowed to do that. To some point, I do agree, because if you didn't tag them, it's kind of like, why are
It's kind of
you?
like
How did
plagiarism
you see it?
a little bit,
Like,
yeah.
how did you see that?
Hmm.
Like,
It's kind of like
are are you
like
searching up? Like, it's like, remember when KD got called out for having a burner and searching his name and responding to hate comments?
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just a weird situation, and
It's
you
just
know,
it's just
social media stuff.
yeah, it's literally just how the course goes. You can't really escape it other than just not doing anything about it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
definitely,
that's what most
definitely
people
an interesting
have
situation.
to do. But yeah, moving along. So currently IndyCar, or I don't think it's currently, but they might still be doing it. IndyCar is testing a softer tire for Gateway race. This is kind of like a really interesting and a little, I don't want to say worrisome, but a little concerning time for IndyCar and Firestone, because um, the the issue with the ovals so far this season is the the tires not being able to wear off as much, like the drivers or teams like want them to. Their tires have become too hard. They don't fall off the way that they should, or to create more interesting racing. And so with that, IndyCar is now testing with Firestone softer tires for Gateway to try and make some kind of progress towards um, getting a better racing product in terms of, like, different strategies, who can stay out the longest on old tires and stuff like that, and who's willing to risk a race win for an alternate strategy. It's kind of like something that we've been battling with in the NASCAR scene as well, with the tire compounds not having a lot of fall off, because it's all in due in part because of the car stuff. But that'll be a discussion for another day. But I find it interesting that they're testing out new compounds. I like that they're testing out new compounds. They're willing to show their fans and the communities, like, hey, we're not gonna, like, think that this tire is acceptable for all oval races. We're gonna try and do our best to try and figure out a compound that's the best for entertainment and passing and racing quality as a whole. And I want to applaud IndyCar for that, but we don't know like what the outcome will be with the quote unquote new tire compound they'll have a Gateway in a couple weeks. But I do like that IndyCar is doing this and showing that they're willing to try new
Trying.
things. Yeah, and all for racing product and everything. But move along as well. Last bit of the news for IndyCar. Yuri Vips will be driving for Rahal Letterman landing. Whew, that's a tongue twister.
Oh God,
That is a tongue twister and a half. Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing at Portland in a fourth entry. RLL typically races three cars. Pietro Fittipaldi, I believe. Ray Hall, or yeah,
Lingard.
and Lingard, yeah. Man, I've been having a tough
Uh,
time with this RLL pronunciation. Been getting my tongue tied all.
RLL.
Yeah, RLL, yeah, something like that. But I guess that already like proves to us like the rumors of Yuri Vips possibly filling in for Augustine Canapino, putting that to silence, at least for Portland, just because it's a road course race, and majority of the schedule is road courses next season, I assume. And so it's always important to try and get like a new prospect and a new driver, at least some kind of track time just so I can understand the car more for next season. So, and also,
And he did do 2 races last year as
yeah,
well.
and it also gives him more experience with the hybrid engine too, the hybrid system. So that's always important for new drivers coming into the series next season. So that pretty much wraps up the IndyCar portion, and we'll be heading over to the NASCAR portion of the podcast in just a second.
All right. Well, here we are. It is time for the longest segment of the night, which is the NASCAR side of things. So let's dive into it before I fucking fall asleep. Um, so MLB, Major League Baseball, has announced or is set to announce that there will be a official 2025 game between the Cincinnati Reds and the Atlanta Braves that will take place in Bristol, Tennessee at Bristol Motor Speedway. So it's going to be really cool to see a neutral site between my hometown team of the Reds and the Braves, who are they are going to get LA De La stomped on next year.
I hope so. As a former
So,
Braves fan, I hope so.
and it's not the first time that Bristol's hosted events like this. Like, I believe they had a college game there several years ago as well. So it seems like Bristol's been a place of value to the NCAA and now the MLB. So who knows? Maybe the Titans could play a game there in the NFL in the future. So
God, that would be great too. But I just want to say one thing. Welcome back, Polo Fields. Polo Field. We gotta make center field like all the way back there to 3 and 4. Has to be done. I think it would make for great baseball. Having an outfield that's like nearly impossible to hit home on. Amazing.
but you want to know what isn't out of left field, Leander?
Oh, what is that, Rob?
Connor Zelich going full time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series for Junior Motorsports in the 88 in 2025.
Thank God.
So,
Thank God.
so it
My
looks like
Pookie, my goat.
Sammy Smith is the only other driver that looks to be a part of the JRM plans in 2025. So is Sam Mayer officially going to Cup, and is Brandon Jones getting his walking papers?
I gotta say I have been calling for Front Row Motorsports in the Cup Series to have that lineup if they can't get Zane Smith back, have Todd Gilliland, Noah Gragson, and then have have a young lineup to build on and have Todd as the veteran there. I've been saying it for the past couple months. I think that's the best thing for that team. And yeah, I think right now, I think Allgaier is on a 1-year contract each year, but he just signs on for the next. So I expect the lineup for next year for JRM to be Zilish in the 88. Sammy Smith will be back. Justin Allgaier will be back most likely, and then I think they're just waiting on confirmation of funding for Carson Quapple. So yeah, it does mean. I mean, they could run a fifth car for Brandon Jones, but let's be real, it's not worth it. Especially based on the last couple seasons with the pairing of JRM and Brandon. Yeah,
I
I think
mean,
it's time for BJ to get on out of JRM. I think his best option is to try and go for one of those open Haas factory team rides in Xfinity that are open right now.
yeah, and we've talked about uh, how
AM
good.
Racing.
Yeah, that's also one that's on the radar for him.
Yeah.
But we talked about how good Colin Zelovich has been, and we've talked about how good Carson Quaffle has been in the Xfinity Series, and obviously, that would be a great opportunity for Quaffle. But could we see potentially Raja getting some part-time starts? Maybe they split the ride up as a part-time ride between Quaffle Jr. and Raja.
I would suggest doing that. If not, if they aren't putting Quapple in that ride full time, I would personally say go ahead and put Waffle in there for some time. Put Raj in there, because Hendrick can't put a car out there all the time for him. So he'll probably have to do some JRM starts, and I think he'll be ready for it next year. It's going to be what his third year in trucks, so I think that's a good time for him to step up, do part time, and then of course bring Bubba Pollard back for a one off if he wants to, and you have other young guys like Corey Day. Can't forget him. He's I think he's 18. I'll check on that while I keep talking, but yeah, Corey Day is another one that we talked about him on the first podcast. With our dear friend Cody. But yeah, so Corey
Miss
Day
you, Cody.
is
Please
yeah
come back to the podcast.
yeah.
Yeah,
Please come on the
please. We're in
podcast.
dire need. We need some more content, please. We need you.
Yeah, but yeah, Corey Day is 18, so he would also be a candidate for that part-time ride. Obviously, Raj and Corey are HendrickCars.com sponsored drivers.
And
So yeah,
I think it would be a good move because I think it would save JRM money to only have 3 full-time cars, and it makes that fourth car part-time throughout the season.
yeah,
You know,
because
maybe they could still keep the ride full-time for owner points' sake, but I mean, you would be able to, like I said, you have Corey Day, Bubba Pollard, Carson Quaffle, Raja Caruth, and Dale Jr. I mean, that's 5 or 6 guys. That's plenty.
yeah, I mean, I think you have seen a lack of speed from JRM this year, for the most part, especially with luck. So I think going to three full-time teams and then keeping that fourth as the rotation car, I think it'll help. I don't think it'll hurt. Spreading too thin is something that's happened to JRM in the past, and yeah, they usually see success when they're only running 2 to 3 cars full time. So
And
yeah, I
you
think
know,
that's where it's heading.
if they're letting Brandon Jones walk, you gotta wonder, is it the team that's making Brandon Jones walk, or are the sponsors starting to pull out?
Man, it's tough to say because I think it might be the team. I think Menards will follow Brandon wherever he goes. Honestly, it doesn't.
And that
I
might
think he
be,
has
like you
too far
said,
ties.
that may be good for Haas to have a guaranteed sponsorship money coming in from one of their rides. But
Yeah,
would you really take Brandon Jones over somebody like Christian Eckes or Harrison Burton? That's the question.
I personally would not. I would ship Brandon Jones to AM Racing or Sieg. Hell, give Sieg the small team a ship, or maybe go to Jordan Anderson Racing if they have an opening.
Yeah. Keeping up with Xfinity news, Shane Van Gisbergen has lost his crew chief, Bruce Schlicker, for the season. Um, do we think that is going to negatively impact his performance for the rest of the year, or do we think there might be a positive spin out of this?
Yes, I believe it'll negatively impact him because they have built so much together already this season that getting rid of that duo with the driver and crew chief is just literally a recipe for disaster because unless SVG is able to really click with this new crew chief that they got for him or whatever it is, I really think this is a big mistake from Colleague from getting rid of SVG's current crew chief because, like I said, they've won 3 races already this season, and getting rid of that continuity for SVG as a rookie is a big issue because the best thing you can do for rookie in his rookie season is just keep most of the things within the team the same, because the more time they're able to be around that team, those people in that team, the more they're able to be more comfortable, more confident in themselves, and they understand each other more. And so I feel like with getting rid of Bruce, it's not a
Well,
good idea.
it's not really getting rid of because, according to what Colleague has said, which was they would not offer a statement on his departure out of respect to Bruce. So I think it was a personal, maybe family matter, or it. It's not a. It's a non-performance reason for his departure. Um, as I'm reading on Reddit from EMK169, great name. But yeah, it definitely screams non-performance.
Shout out NASCAR Redditors, come on our podcast.
Yes, please, please. It would be great. It would be great. We gotta start like advertising it to Reddit
we could
users.
actually. We could have our own subreddit one day.
Yeah, yeah. All the Redditors come on our podcast. We
Oh
love you.
man. Oh jeez.
Yeah, Chase Briscoe, great Redditor. Yeah, Kevin Walter. A little information on him. He is a very inexperienced crew chief. Uh, he has taken RCR equipment
Oof.
and colleague money and turned it into
Oof.
JD Motorsport.
Ooh.
So,
Oh no.
yeah, so
Oh
I think
no.
Shane Van Gisbergen might be cooked for the rest of the year.
I told y'all a couple episodes ago when I think Rob asked about like SVG's prediction for like his playoff run in Xfinity. I said he could get as far as round of 8 because of I think they have the road course Watkins Glen in the first round or something like that. But other than that, I don't think he's getting farther. And I feel like what I said a couple episodes ago is starting to unironically come to fruition. Unfortunately, like I personally want to see SVG succeed, but not like this. Like I don't want him to struggle because of some misfortune. You know, like he deserves for how good he is. He deserves to be in a good position in the playoffs at least.
Yeah, I'm just shocked they didn't get him a better crew chief as a replacement.
Yeah, this is
I
gonna
must say.
this is giving up Haley Deegan AIM racing vibes right now.
Yeah, because their crew chief was shit. Too,
yeah, because
so.
the thing is Haley made him fire. I think the original crew chief and the new one that came in didn't know how to set up a car, so that was a whole issue. But continue.
Yeah, so it was basically self-inflicted, but this one was definitely not. This one was like a different scenario, but still, you got to get a better crew chief, man.
And I mean, and it could be possible that maybe Bruce comes back next season. It could just be one of those things where he has to take time away for the rest of this year.
It could just
and
be,
we hope everything's good with him. We hope everything's good.
It could also just be like the new crew chief thing could be like a placeholder before they get to the playoffs. It could be potentially like the whole issue could be hopefully resolved before the playoffs for SVG and his regular crew chief comes back for the playoff run. But if not, yeah, it'll probably I would have to say probably next year.
Yeah. And another thing would be Josh Williams. That was Josh Williams' old crew chief for the 11. So now he gets Eddie Pardue, who used to crew chief Circle Sport, TMG. He also did RPM. Let's see. He also did. Yeah, he was in the 33 Circle Port car, which was pretty interesting to see. And yeah, he's crew chiefed Priest as well over the years. So yeah, I mean, it's a good signing, I guess. But Colleague has been on a downturn, and I feel it's going even more deeper. So a deeper dive into the downturn. So
yeah and I just wanted to bring this up real quick because you talked about colleague and RCR, so I felt like this was too big to kind of brush over. So I know last few days the rumors of RCR and colleague possibly merging or one buying out another could be happening, but it looks like the leading rumor right now is colleague racing is set to buy a majority stake of RCR.
Major news. Major big news.
They are set. Apparently, they're wanting to buy 51% of
controlling
RCR.
stake.
So will this kind of be like a merger, like what we've seen from like Earnhardt Ganassi kind of stuff?
100%.
So Earnhardt Ganassi or with Evernham Petty.
Interesting. Yep. Wow.
So, but these are just rumors right now. I want to specify these are rumors. But the leading rumor right now, from what I've read up on, is colleague could potentially buy up to 51% of RCR and have the majority stake in the team. And, two mid teams coming together could create a powerhouse, or it could create quite the opposite.
And the development program that they got. You got Jesse Love and Daniel Dye in there, and yeah, you have Eckes the Chevy Wings waiting there. It'll be interesting. I think it could be a good move for two mid teams to collaborate like this.
Yeah, and I know we're talking about more rumors, and Max, I saw you
Yeah.
chomping at the bit to bring this up.
Yeah. I saw this on my timeline on Twitter earlier, and I just now remembered to put it into the notes. But according to this Twitter account, NASCAR Leaks, the People's Insider, they've been putting out a bunch of leaks for the 2025 season for Cup, Trucks, and Xfinity. And it's pretty interesting, for the lack of better words.
There is a lack of better
Yeah,
word.
yeah, there is a really, yeah.
For lack of better description.
Yeah, should
Yeah.
we start with Xfinity? What, like, big
Uh,
outliers on there?
Honestly, we'll do trucks.
These
We'll do
are
trucks.
okay. These are rumors. By the way, this is rumors. Nothing's confirmed at all. But it's just from a quote unquote trustworthy source from NASCAR Leaks.
I mean, to be fair, NASCAR leaks. Please come on the podcast. We'd
Please,
love to have you.
yeah.
This
So
person
first,
is great at leaking
yeah.
stuff. So
So first big, I think outlier for me, or shock for me in the trucks, schedule is Rockingham after Bristol next year.
yep. Oh,
I
and
think it was
Lime
It's
Rock.
it's I think it's yeah, Lime Rock, which is pretty crazy. I don't think that's gonna be 100% true.
yeah. I don't think anybody was expecting Lime Rock, but we all were hearing Rockingham coming
Yeah,
back.
Rockingham
especially
for
with
sure. The past 2 years.
And there's even more surprises. You have the Roval in the playoffs
For
and Watkins
trucks.
Glen before the playoffs.
Yep.
So you have
before
three road courses.
the two races before the playoffs is Watkins Glen, Richmond, then you got off week. Then round 1 for the trucks playoffs is Darlington, Bristol, New Hampshire.
Great round.
And then the second round for trucks is Charlotte Roval.
Chaos.
Talladega and that is the most chaotic round you could ever think of. And then
Yeah.
and
no, that's-
NASCAR, why would you make this decision? Money.
money, you know. And then obviously the championship finale at Phoenix. But that
anyways.
that second round is crazy for trucks.
Yeah, second round is gonna cause
it's-
Matt Crafton fights.
Dude, yeah. Moving on to
Now we go to
Xfinity.
Xfinity.
Yep.
Oh.
Okay, bro. Anyway,
You all ain't beating the allegations. I just want to
I'm ignoring that. I'm ignoring it and moving on. We got
God.
Miami early in the season. That goes, I'm pretty sure, for all series. Homestead's early in the season, right after Vegas for
Rockingham again.
Xfinity. Yep, Rockingham is after Bristol for Xfinity. So yeah, did Xfinity run?
Oh shit! I
Bristol?
just realized. Yeah, 2 Bristol dates.
Yeah, two Bristol dates for next year. Mexico City, that's a big
Yeah,
one. So the
The
rumors,
return.
the rumors
Kyle Busch
of
is
it.
quaking.
It's about time.
Yeah, the
It's
rumors
about
of
time.
it.
Quaking.
Was it?
Kyle Busch is quaking.
Okay, yeah, that's right, because of his whole getting arrested
Yeah.
over there. But
Yeah.
but yeah, that's really nice to see returning onto the schedule. Was Mexico City. Great return. Hopefully Montoya makes a return back at that track in that car. We'll see. And then Michigan's a late June, July race. Same with Pocono. Pocono's going to be, I think, around July, I believe.
Probably
and then
July 22nd,
Chicago, Chicago's going to be, well, actually, Sonoma's going to be late in the season. My lord.
Yeah.
So to back-to-back road courses. So you got, so through the summer stretch, I assume it's going to go Michigan, Pocono, Atlanta, Chicago, Sonoma. And then you got Dover in the middle of the summer. And from what I've seen on comments on Twitter is that they have really bad heat waves during the summer. So that's going to be not too good.
Yeah.
Hooray!
The Midwest is going to be a rough area to be in.
Yeah, because you got Iowa right there, and it's gonna be stinking hot.
And then they
As
got
a person that resides in the Midwest, let me tell you, this heat ain't no joke.
and then after Dover, they got Indy, Iowa, Watkins Glen before Daytona, and then Portland and Gateway before the playoffs.
Gateway returns.
Yep, Gateway
The
returns.
So I will say I like the fact that they're trying to shake up the variety instead of just doing a bunch of tracks
100%.
back to back. Like this
100%.
is what a schedule should be. Is you should be rotating the types of tracks out more.
And then for
Facts.
the playoffs for Xfinity, it kind of remains the
Honestly,
same for
this-
round 1.
this schedule is peak. Like these rounds.
If it proves to be
honestly,
true, it's not confirmed yet, Leander. But if it is true,
I-
it would
hey,
fade generations.
I'm just saying. Bristol, Kansas,
Allegedly.
Roval.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
First
allegedly
round.
this would cook.
Yeah,
This could
Bristol,
cook.
Kansas, Roval, and then round 2, Vegas, Talladega, Martinsville, and then obviously championship finale, Phoenix.
Boo. Anyways.
And then we go to the all-important Cup Series schedule.
Boo.
So, like I said just a minute ago, Miami's going to be there early in the season after Vegas. So after what used to be the West Coast swing, it's just Phoenix and Vegas now.
Yeah, you could put Texas. It's on the way there.
I guess. But
It's
yeah,
on the
anyway.
way.
So Miami is
Little
early
road
season
trip.
before Martinsville. You got Bristol before Talladega, and then
Nashville on to Mexico City.
Yeah, so that's going to be one hell of a haul for everyone who's going there for, I think,
Especially
Cup
Kyle
Xfinity.
Busch.
Yeah, we already talked about that. And then we go to Michigan, Pocono, Atlanta, Chicago, Sonoma. So that's for Cup and Xfinity, back-to-back road races. And then Dover, Brickyard 400, Iowa, Watkins Glen, Richmond.
Oh, you triple header at the Glen, finally.
Oh, wait, really? Hold on, let me go back.
Yeah, trucks are going to Watkins Glen too, so it's going to be a triple
that's
header.
right. Yeah, that's going to be cool.
Oh, quadruple, because ARCA goes there at the same time, yeah.
Ooh, that's going to be spicy. Anyway.
Okay. Daytona's the cutoff race.
Daytona's the cutoff race.
Finally.
Yeah.
Well, allegedly.
Allegedly. This is all rumors, all speculation, guys. And then for the playoffs, you got Darlington, Gateway, Bristol. Round of 12, New Hampshire, Kansas, Charlotte, Roval. Round of 8, Vegas, Talladega, Martinsville. That's going to be chaos. And then round of 4, Phoenix as well. So, but yeah. pretty crazy schedule allegations there for all 3 series. If it proves to be true, that would be pretty cool to see some of these tracks make a return to the main series in NASCAR. What do you guys think?
Rob, go ahead.
I was waiting. I think Rob's muted, so go ahead.
Okay, maybe I'll go. Okay.
Yeah.
I think overall kind of a mess schedule. I like the addition of Mexico City. I like that they're keeping the street course. I like the spreading out of road courses. I do not like that we start the year with 2 super speedway races. I must say that is the one thing I dislike about this schedule.
That's the one thing I didn't like about this year.
And I mean, I heard rumors about Miami being earlier in the year so that they can get renovations for 2026 when they allegedly start hosting the championship race again. Thank God. I like how Talladega's kind of in the middle there, just how it's always been. Texas only has 1 date. Praise the Lord. Even though it was better this year. But Nashville in the middle of the summer. I hope it's a night race. Mexico City. I think that's going to be a great atmosphere, especially since Suarez is still there, and then you got
that's
Nick
gonna
Sanchez
be
with the heritage.
That's going to be a big headlines. Is the two Mexican heritage drivers going to Mexico? That's gonna be awesome.
And we could see a triple header if they get the NASCAR Mexico Series on the same weekend. We could see some drivers do the triple.
Ooh, that would be a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Brickyard 400's back for next year. Daytona being the cutoff race again.
Very welcome return.
Yes, because Daytona has lost its prestige a little bit. Yeah,
it deserves to be.
We need that back.
Yeah.
I think the playoff rounds are kind of weird, but I mean Darlington and Bristol usually produce good races, and then Gateway's kind of an outlier.
I'm strongly against having Gateway in the playoffs.
Yeah, I know the atmosphere is great, but with this package, we're not cooking.
It only deserves to be 1 race for Cup at least.
Well, 1 race in Cup, but not in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Unless you bring a different car.
Mm-hmm.
So the round of 12, New Hampshire, Kansas, Roval. That's kind of sick. I don't mind having New Hampshire there. I think New Hampshire, if it rains, dirt track central right there. New Hampshire is actually pretty okay now, so I don't mind it too much.
I was gonna say when it used to be in the opening race for the playoffs, it rarely had any weather issues.
Yeah, it just had fuel mileage.
Yeah, it was usually it was like within the first couple weeks of September, so the weather was always usually really good. So I don't know what it's like having that racetrack later in the season.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. And then we got Vegas, Talladega, Martinsville. That's gonna be our standard. But I hate that we have Talladega in the round of 8. Like, dude, Talladega
Yeah,
in the
I
round of
think
8 is crazy work.
call me an old head, but I always believed that Talladega should always be the cutoff race for the round of 8, or not round of 8. Was it round of 12?
Round
God,
of 12.
I
Yeah,
almost
no,
got
I agree,
myself canceled
100%.
right there.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
because yeah. Don't say championship race. You'll get
Oh yeah.
you'll
By
get
the way, yeah.
canapinoed real quick.
Yep.
Kyle Busch go pull the clock out.
Okay, okay. Let's continue on. Let's
Oh,
continue on.
yeah. I think we lost Rob. Did we lose Rob?
I'm here.
Oh,
You had
Rob.
to get a
Okay.
little power nap in. It's all right. We're kind of boring, anyways. It's
I
okay.
was just listening to you guys rambo incoherently.
Rambo. All right, continue.
Rambo.
Continue. Let's go. Let's move it along. Move along.
So the cup schedule?
Yeah.
Yeah. We just
Yeah. We're just talking about it. We're pretty much wrapping it up.
Yeah. We
Oh, I'm
wanted your
having a
opinion
Biden
on it.
moment. I'm sorry.
Oh no! This is a politic-free podcast.
I'll cry about it. Anyway, back to something that I know about. Toyota Racing Development President David Wilson has announced his retirement. Tyler Gibbs, no relation to Tire Joe, so it's not a nepotism hire, was named to replace him. Do we think this will be an improvement?
I think it's a like for like substitution right here. I think Tyler Gibbs has been in TRD for a number of years, so I think it's just gonna be the same how TRD's run. I don't think you'll see major changes. Maybe a little bit more camaraderie between the teams, maybe is possible, but then again, maybe a little less camaraderie, and forcing teams to work together. So it's hard to say now. Don't know much about him, but for a long time, so I think it'll be similar.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And another replacement to announce, Chris Sherwood will be the interim crew chief for Cup Series driver Christopher Bell, while his main crew chief Adam Stevens will be out due to injury for the coming weeks. Can Christopher Bell maintain his momentum without Stevens?
If I'm being honest, I don't think Bell really has a whole lot of momentum right now. I feel like he
Yeah,
lost all of it at Chicago. That's kind of where it just started falling apart for Bell. Because ever
yeah,
since then, I feel like he hasn't really had the speed to show to carry that momentum that he's had from the past couple races. So it's gonna be a really difficult couple of weeks with Bell not having his main crew chief Adam Stevens there. So it's kind of like the SVG situation. Not having the main crew chief there is going to hurt the driver's performance, probably already more than it already is having right now. So,
well,
um,
I will say Chris Sherwood has been part of the team under Adam Stevens, so it won't be too much of a change. Stevens will still be there in the war room, giving calls and stuff like that. So
okay,
he'll still
Which
be
is a good
involved.
thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
definitely a
So
good thing. He'll still have input.
yeah,
And I think the good thing for Christopher Bell is Richmond is a track that he's pretty solid at. So I think that it shouldn't impact him as much. Obviously, JGR has good people in the wings in case stuff like this happens. So I don't think Bell will take too much of a hit from this. Obviously, his early success in the season may help him out a lot at this point in the season. But I don't think it's. I think Bell could regain some of his momentum before playoffs start.
yeah. It shouldn't be too much of a culture shock for him with Chris. I know. It was just like Jimmy when Chad got suspended for the 500. He went out and won with the interim crew chief. So it's it's the crew chief still has uh, an influence on what the team does and the setups and everything like that. So it should be good.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with that. And so let's see, what else do we have on our agenda today? How about this one? Coca-Cola. is back as a primary sponsor. I mean, we've been waiting years for this. I've prayed for this, and it happened. Drew McIntyre, please come on the podcast.
We'd love to have you on the podcast, Drew McIntyre.
But yeah, Coca-Cola is going to be the primary sponsor this week at Richmond for Chase Elliott. We haven't really seen this since Chase had Mountain Dew a few years ago, and Casey Kane and Jeff Gordon with Pepsi.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder. Could we see the Cola Wars start up again between Pepsi and Coca-Cola and NASCAR again?
I don't think Mountain Dew or whatever it is.
Well, Mountain Dew was on the College car once, but
I don't think it has enough
submitted.
I don't think it has enough presence in the Cup Series to really have the good old Pepsi and Coca-Cola wars.
Yeah, I think Coca-Cola already won because people think Pepsi gave up on the sport. So
yeah, I do want to add about Elliott's paint scheme is what I said on Twitter too, is that every masterpiece has its cheap copy with Hamlin's 2023 Coca-Cola paint scheme from last year.
I don't know. I think
this
Slim
one's
Chicken's on there. Slim Chicken's is a W if you've ever had it.
What?
All my Southern people, Slim Chicken's.
I've
Slim
never
Chicken's
heard of that.
Dude, Slim Chicken's is like so good.
But yeah, I feel like this is
gonna ask them to sponsor us next.
Slim Chickens, please sponsor us on the podcast.
Moving along. As a paint scheme design for the car, there's a big downgrade from Hamlin's Coca-Cola car.
It kind of looks the same.
I mean, I don't mind it. I think it's a better lively than what Hooters probably would have been.
Oh yeah, the Hooters scheme for me was a miss this year.
I actually like the Hooters scheme this year. I think.
We might be beating the allegations.
Hold on, let me look at it real quick.
Just search Chase Elliott, Texas.
He's secretly looking up how to beat the allegations.
Yeah, no, dude, the Hooters this year is actually good. I actually like this one.
I don't know. I thought it was kind of mid.
For the past couple of years, this one's actually been my favorite. Since...
I think the breast cancer awareness one was really good, and then after it was just kind of
in the next gen era, this Hooters car from this year was definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
Aside
essentially
from the black car he ran in Bristol 2021, I think.
Yeah, but essentially the Hamlin and Elliott schemes are pretty much similar, except Hamlin has white in the front and a chrome number.
And it looks cooler.
The same thing.
It's
both
I'm
mid.
sorry.
They can both do better.
It's literally
better.
The best Coca-Cola scheme we have seen are the throwbacks on Chastain and Suarez.
Ooh, actually, hold on. I actually know what I will add is Kyle Larson's 2016 Coca-Cola car from Chicagoland.
You all are forgetting about the 2004 Pepsi 400 JGR schemes.
Oh no, those schemes were fire, but we're talking about history. The ones in the early 2000s are out, bro.
2016 Larson at Chicagoland. That paint scheme was so hard.
No, the Trackhouse throwbacks can't be beat.
Were they from this year?
The Trackhouse throwbacks.
Oh yeah,
they're from
Trackhouse...
21.
Yeah,
21, 22.
Yeah, that's right. The throwbacks were pretty good. Yeah. But
those were the best.
Moving along, Parker Retzlaff making a Cup debut with MBM at Richmond. What do we expect from young Parker Retzlaff moving from?
He'll be done within 50 laps. Something breaks. I'm sorry, Carl Long. I love you. Please come on the podcast.
Okay. Before you make any crazy accusations, have you looked up MBM's track record this year of starting parking potentially?
Yeah, that's what I said. They're gonna make it 50 laps and then something, quote unquote, break.
Okay.
It's just for him to get lap times. It's just for him to get laps, and then NASCAR can approve him for Daytona.
I just want to make sure you did your research, young man.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I think Retzlaff will finish. I think I'm gonna say
10
top
laps
30.
down.
I'm gonna say top 30. I think he get a top 30 out of it, but probably not much more. I think if he finishes anywhere above 25th, I think it's a testament to him as a driver.
Yeah, at least a top 40. I think at least a top 40. I love Parker Retzlaff. Please come on the podcast.
Top 40 is definitely attainable for him.
Yeah. It would be a good run for him. It would be a good run.
So just a just a few more things before we wrap up the NASCAR segment, which we've actually not rambled about really tonight.
Which is a
That's a
shocker.
record for us.
I actually predicted that we're gonna.
Shocking.
I predicted before we started recording that we're gonna somehow make this all the way up to 2 hours by rambling, but we're actually not, which I'm pleasantly surprised.
We're beating the allegations.
Finally! Oh my goodness.
Speaking of allegations, here's a rumor for you. So I took a look at this and I thought, well, we've talked about the charter system previously. We've talked about teams possibly merging. So NASCAR has apparently been in talks, or has been rumored to be in talks, about banning the use of sovereign funds for the charter system. Are you in favor of the ban, or are you against it, and why?
So as a soccer fan, and looking at sovereign funds buying different clubs and how they're run, I don't think it's a good idea, solely because it just takes away the team aspect of the sport, takes away the, blue collar owners that, worked hard to get former drivers, and even Spire technically you could say Spire's only in it for the money, but they've actually like built a lot of stuff. And the sovereign funds will definitely try and buy a team outright and just roll with it. And I've seen how clubs in Europe are run after being invested with sovereign funds. So I would love a ban on the use of sovereign funds, and I hope they implement that rule.
Max, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm not a whole lot familiar with what sovereign ban is all about. So I just did a quick Google search up so I can kind of get more familiar with it, and also kind of educate the listeners as well, as long as myself. So it's basically just like what's happened the past pretty much all this year with the charter agreement issues is that NASCAR and the teams haven't really seen eye to eye in certain aspects of the charter agreement. So what I saw pop up first on Google. This is from Newsweek.com. Says, quote, NASCAR's new charter agreement might prominently feature a clause that excludes sovereign wealth funds from investing. I don't know. I don't really know the pros and cons about this whole situation. I haven't really been able to read too much into this, but it seems like any. I think I might have seen it somewhere on Twitter earlier this week where it said something about it. It stops or prevents global, or not global, but anything outside of America, like businesses or whatever, to like come in and help support teams. I think.
No, it's so I have it here. So I learned about this in college, senior year. Fuck me, but um yeah. So for example, there's a team in England by the name of Newcastle United. They were purchased by Saudi Arabia, but they call themselves the Public Investment Fund. So they're basically bought by the Saudi government. So they're trying to avoid that happening to a
Okay.
team in NASCAR.
So
So
that's
it'd be
why
bought by a whole country, essentially.
Okay, so I did see that on Twitter. I just didn't know what it meant because I saw
Yeah.
something about it prevents something like the Middle East or whatever getting involved in
Yeah, because
sponsorship or whatever.
there's like 4 in the UAE, there's like 2 in Saudi, there's Singapore, 2 from 1 in Kuwait. So
Yeah, I guess from what
just
Leander just
protect the
said,
integrity.
yeah, I do like the ban, just because it does protecting integrity of the businesses and NASCAR and stuff like that. But it does,
Especially for like the smaller teams.
yeah,
I
but
think that's what it's for, is to protect the smaller
Yeah,
teams.
for sure.
and I guess
100%.
you could also see in a sense that it could hurt them a little bit globally, like looking at it, like it could hurt NASCAR's image a little bit, but I don't think it's enough to really hurt
Major
them.
I
impact.
Yeah,
more
majorly
so
impact
I
them.
more so worry if they ban this, how it would affect NASCAR as a whole financially, because we're already starting to hear rumors of NASCAR having some issues with sponsorship money in general. So
that's it's gonna be interesting to see what happens on that front with the ongoing struggle that NASCAR seems to have with sponsorship. But yeah, that's gonna be difficult to look at. But yeah, overall, I think we can all agree that the ban is in good faith, and it's just as a protective layer for mainly the smaller teams so that they don't get absolutely greenwashed out of the sport. So yeah,
yeah,
that's good. And another piece of good news, we got some stuff happening over on the gaming side, Rob.
yes. So we got some NASCAR 25 details that have come to light over the past few days. If you guys have been following along with the dev diaries released by iRacing and Monster Games. So just quick details about the upcoming NASCAR console game. The release date is scheduled to be in the fall of 2025, so just like previous NASCAR games that have released in the past. We know for sure that PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X are expected to get the game. Switch is uncertain, but is a possibility, and Steam/PC is looking unlikely for the moment, but when they made the initial announcement, it looked like Switch and Steam were to be included. So we'll keep an eye on that, depending on the resources that they have available. The game will be made on the Unreal Engine, so just like NASCAR 21, I believe. And the primary developers for this game will be the Monster Games team. So they've had previous work on the console side of gaming with the NASCAR Heat Series, and I believe they also worked on the World Outlaws game, if I'm correct, and
Yeah,
had a
they did
hand in
World of
Tony
Outlaws.
Tony
Yeah,
Stewart games.
and I think they did a little bit of Exocross as well. I think they helped
Yeah,
out.
and then XRX too. So Monster Games has been keeping busy with that. Paint Booth is expected and will be included in this game. Um, the bigger question is, will trading paints from iRacing be a feature?
God, I hope
Uh,
so.
I'll be honest, it looks unlikely, but I'm not going to say for sure whether or not it will be or won't be included. But right now it remains unlikely, but do expect to be a paint booth that should be as good as like NASCAR 15s or NASCAR 14s is the expectation.
Ooh, man, I have some good memories of that old Utechnics, Nvidia, whatever it is.
Oh, good old you Technics.
Oh
And
man, I
then
miss that paint
I
booth.
can, and then finally I can bring an exclusive rumor for the first time. So
Hmm?
from
Oh,
rumblings that I'm hearing, um, there might be potential esports slash league features coming.
Ooh.
So I cannot say with 100% certainty that they will be included on launch, but I would expect to see these in the game, if not on launch, then maybe in a later patch for this game.
You already know Rob's
But
gonna try hard at that.
no,
Yeah,
no.
damn.
yeah, I know it.
Unfortunately, I'm not fluffy enough or sloppy enough to do
Okay.
that.
Oh
Oh,
man. Oh, he went
okay.
there.
Um,
Oh
No
man.
prisoners.
I am not fluffy or sloppy enough to do that. But
All
that
right.
concludes
Okay.
it for
Okay.
our NASCAR segment.
Oh
Um,
man.
so stick around, and we'll be right back with our closing thoughts and predictions for the upcoming NASCAR events. So it's time to make our predictions for the upcoming Truck and Cup race for NASCAR at Richmond. But before we do so, just want to give a quick shout out and again a thank you to Victory Fuel for all of their support for our podcast ventures. When you go to checkout, make sure you use code APEX10, that's APEX10, at checkout to save 10% on your order. But now it's time to dive into Richmond truck predictions. And Max, I'll start with you. Who do you have winning the truck race at Richmond?
You already know what time it is. It's time. Time at Richmond. It's Corey Heim. I'm picking him.
Corey Heim. Okay.
All
Definitely
right.
a strong pick.
No, I had myself muted. I had myself muted.
Oh my god.
Actually, I'll just clip it.
What?
That'll be fine. Continue.
Okay.
Okay. So, Max believes it is once again Heim time. A potential 6th time of the season. Leander, are you finally going to beat the allegations that you're not the same person?
Yes, I have chosen huge underdogs this week.
Oh,
I
why?
have gone with
I just saw it.
I have gone with Taylor Gray
Why?
for the Richmond truck race.
Why would you do yourself like this?
I have to beat the allegations. I won last prediction week we did. So I'm just gonna
Oh, yeah,
beat
that's
the
true
alligator.
because I was the Cody Giles of predictions the last time.
This is
So-
gonna be really bad for you, Leander. This is gonna
Hey
be a
man,
really
I
bad
won the
weekend.
hardest week. I won the hardest week last prediction week. I'm fine
I
with losing
guess.
this one.
I
But,
guess,
yeah.
with NASCAR interference, but that's not my business. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm going with a guy that runs well on short tracks and a guy that runs well on Richmond. Veteran of the series and hasn't really gotten enough love this year. Grant Enfinger.
Great pick.
Enfinger.
Okay.
Sorry, I like saying it in the Vince Welch voice. Grant Enfinger. Like you literally have to strain yourself to really say it like him.
Yeah.
I think Enfinger is gonna infigure out his way to victory.
Okay.
Oh, smooth.
Grant Enfinger, Chase Briscoe, the Dirt Derby. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Speaking of dirt drivers, who's your pick for Cup, Rob?
I'm going with a guy that is absolutely dominant on short tracks and, has the golden horseshoe stuck up his ass. I'm going with Kyle Larson.
All right, Kevin Harvick, chill out.
Ryan Blaney.
Ryan Blaney. Yeah.
So, no. In all seriousness, Kyle Larson has statistically the past 4 years has been really good on short tracks. And this season is no different. I don't think he's won on a short track yet this season, but I believe that could change. If he doesn't win, I can imagine him top 5 easily.
For sure. And then we have another top 5 candidate, most likely though a win in his future. Max, who did you pick again?
All right, so I am solely riding on the fact that Indy was a fluke race for me when I picked this guy. Well, actually, this is like the 3rd week in a row that I picked him.
Yeah, this is like the 4th week in a row.
I gotta stop picking him after this. If he wins, I'll stop picking him. But Denny Hamlin, short track king at Richmond. He owns that track literally. They should rename it to Denny Hamlin Raceway. Actually, that would go hard.
Nah, he's got the silver horseshoe up his ass.
Well, yes. Was it statistically speaking? He's actually probably the best average finish at Richmond in the next gen era. He won there twice.
I mean, when he's not jumping restarts.
Yeah.
Nah, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Trix would like to.
Martin Trix Jr. would like to have you on a podcast, but so he's the only driver that actually win twice at Richmond in the next gen era. So that's all the reason more to believe that he can get the job done. Like he says in this podcast, was it all in going to the promised land or whatever he says in the intro. So, yeah, I believe that should be a thing now. Well, I think it was
Max is A11 in.
all in. Yeah,
no, A11.
okay.
I have decided to beat the allegations again with my cup pick. I wanted to be completely different than Mr. Hamlin fan over here, so I went with John Hunter Nemechek on a pit strategy, late race restart. Everybody just dies. John Hunter Nemechek would win.
No, the only reason he's able to beat the allegations is because he actually realized he has his own free will.
Uno reverse, buddy.
Okay.
You've been copying me for
No,
years.
I haven't, bro.
Yeah, okay,
No.
we'll address it in an up and coming podcast in person where
So
Leander
Oh!
defeat these.
Hey,
So,
no
I have
sneak
to-
peeks, no spoilers.
I have to ask Leander. What made you switch from Martin Truex to John Hunter Nemechek?
I just remembered that I wanted to be completely different, so I got to pick a mid driver who has no chance of winning and maybe propel him to a top 10.
Man,
Hey, I am a legacy fan, all right? I know I can bash on I need to, but
bro,
yeah,
your
no.
legacy on this podcast is dissing mid race car drivers.
Hey, Hamlin is not
hey.
mid.
We weren't okay.
Wait,
We
hold on. We
weren't
weren't
okay. You
talking
just
about
admitted.
Hamlin.
Wait,
Yeah,
wait a
there it
second.
is. There it
There
is.
it
I'm
is.
defending my
There it is.
driver.
There it is. There it
No,
is.
no, you-
Bro, you called him mid.
Yeah, that
I
was.
said he's not.
Yikes.
Bro, we were talking about John,
yeah,
not
we were talking
Denny.
about John Hunter. You talked about Denny. We love you, John Hunter. Please don't come
I'm
on
cutting
the
this
podcast.
part out.
You said don't. Did you? I heard don't.
I'm cutting this part out.
Come on.
No, because
No,
Max said he's
don't.
cutting it out. I said no, don't.
Max, no.
Don't cut it out.
It's the only way you can prove that you aren't the same person.
You can't stop me now. It's already been cut.
Are you being serious?
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
If it happens, I'm leaving the podcast.
Really?
I
Right
will
in front
go
of my
on
Denny
strike.
Hamlin 2016 Daytona 500 diecast?
Mine's better.
Yeah, because yours is
Mine's
autographed, but
mine's
whatever.
better. It's from my racing from 2023.
Okay.
But anyway, I think now is a good time to wrap up this podcast before Max and Leander turn back into the same person. So, but
Or
that's
we
gonna do it
just
for
turn
us
into
tonight.
mortal enemies.
I don't care. Anyway, that's going to do it for us tonight. For Leander, Max, and myself, we appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Take care, and we will see you next week with our Richmond results.